Welcome back to Concerning Middle-earth. I am Neo, your host.
And I'm Kristina.
I've got that energy. Because we got to get this done. Because holy cow, this was an insane episode.
Yeah.
I don't want to make dumb jokes, but it was crazy, so I won't. But
Yeah.
I did not expect the ending to this episode that it had, which was
No, because we
Boom.
knew we knew that they were in what would be Mordor.
yeah. I
But-
was still unclear. There's little clips of the map on the
Yeah.
show is very like okay. I didn't really get enough time to really process what I was looking at.
Well, we assumed, I guess,
We
that it
assumed.
would be Mordor, but I didn't expect it to be created like that.
I didn't think we were gonna see. I guess I didn't think so. I kept thinking, oh, we're in the Southlands. Is that Mordor? It kind of seems like maybe it is. But I looked it up online. I looked up a nice map that was that somebody had made up with pictures pinpointing where everybody is on the map. I was like, that's very nice. And then obviously we'll get into the episode, but
Yeah.
I just it. I'm sure it clicked with everyone when they're like, hey, look at that mountain over there. Like, oh, that's Mount
What
Doom.
a nice
How
mountain!
did I not see that?
Also, I guess it should have been sort of obvious because they figured out that the mark on the sword was a map to where Mordor was going to be,
The Southland. Yeah.
and that was the Southlands.
So yeah, we kind of, but I really didn't expect what happened at the end. And this whole episode is very battle heavy, which
intense. I don't love that much.
I liked that it wasn't boring, which I
Sure.
think a lot of shows, I won't name any, can have very boring. You know what? I have to because
Let's diss another show.
not about boring battles,
Sure.
which a lot of shows have. The action can be
Well,
very
okay. Here's what I feel like.
numbing.
A lot of shows rely on the action to progress the story instead of actually writing a good story.
like filler.
Yeah. It's the same
Yeah.
as with sex scenes or whatever, sex scenes, action. I mean,
Or
it's
they'll
like an action
literally
movie.
write filler
Yeah.
scenes of
Yeah.
this didn't progress the plot at all,
Yeah.
but it filled time.
Yeah.
No, I saw an article going, did the last Game of Thrones episode, was it lit with a single tea light?
That's
I
funny.
was like,
Yeah,
I
that's the
just
other
thought
thing
that
a lot
was
of people
funny,
have been really impatient with lately is the fact that so many shows and movies are terribly lit. It's like we don't care if it's realistic. We want to be able to see what's happening on screen.
yeah,
And so far,
I've always preferred.
I think that the Rings of Power has been really well lit at night.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a night scene where you
Like-
couldn't see what was happening.
It's that fine balance between fantasy,
Yeah.
completely out there lighting,
Where the heck is that
night?
lighting coming from?
And that lighting.
That's
is
not where the moon is.
okay, well, this is realistic.
Yeah.
They're trapped in a cave and there's something
And
else
that
trapped
you
in
can't
there with
see
them,
either.
but
Yeah.
we can't see anything.
Yeah, I don't
So
like that.
I think they have that nice
good
balance
balance.
of lighting. Lord of the Rings did that too. It's
Yep.
what is it? It's a stylized,
Stylized
but it's
nighttime.
not over the top.
Yeah.
And I prefer that because you're watching.
Well,
it's,
obviously,
film
it's
is art.
Well, yeah, and you're gonna lose people if they can't see what's happening.
Yes.
It's not. You're gonna miss any emotional cues you might have if people
Yes.
can't see anything.
And it's hot off the presses. I don't know why. I just
Hot
thought
off
of
the
this.
presses.
Hot.
I thought you were gonna say something about Harfoots.
Harfoot off the presses.
Uh-huh.
Because we've talked about so much about the nudity thing, about
Right.
about how people were concerned
People are
about
concerned
that being
because
in-
it's yeah.
and again, as I do, I saw an article and I didn't have time to click on it. That was
Just read the
about-
title.
Basically, I think Amazon actually heard the fans
Really
freaking out
not
and being
wanting
like,
it.
Do not put nudity in the show. It doesn't need it.
Yeah.
And that actually they heard the fans and they didn't. Or
Yeah. Maybe
not
they've
that they
changed
didn't
things
do
a little
it,
bit.
but they're like, hey, we weren't planning on it.
Right.
Because they were the other thing it said was if you're old enough to read the books, then you're old enough to watch our show. Was
Yeah,
their
well, okay.
Their approach to it, which is
But
great.
also, The Hobbit has nudity. his
But
dwarf
not
butts.
Game of Thrones kind of nude.
But I think that's probably why people are so concerned, because people are used to Game of Thrones kind of nudity, and like I feel like it would be doing Lord of the Rings such a big disservice to do anything like that. Like it just would not work. As usual, I don't remember the
I
order
know.
of events of anything.
I watched it. I always watch it twice.
ADHD brain.
Sometimes I watch it 3 times because
Time is irrelevant.
I think this show is definitely a show I'm going to rewatch.
Yeah, for
Especially
sure.
waiting for season 2 to come along.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I watched Lord of the Rings. Let's get into this episode. It starts with Adar.
Yeah.
Planting
Okay.
some seeds in the dirt.
No. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
I couldn't remember if that was the episode
Okay.
before or not, but this was this
Side
episode.
note. Why do they always name their characters with like the same? It's
Names.
Adar and Arondir. And
Aragorn?
Aragorn and Arwen.
Arwen.
Anyway,
I can't think of
that's
any others.
irrelevant note. But yeah,
yes.
Adar. Okay. Planting some
The
seeds.
Anur. I don't know if that's an A. Anyways, okay. I'm a nerd.
Gotta be. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, planting seeds, and you're going, what is he doing? But
Right. Gets explained later.
life in the whatever. I can't remember the
It
quote.
gets explained later.
Yes, it does. And then you go, oh, when it gets explained later, you're like,
That's
so
what
he
that
is an
was.
elf.
So, yeah.
which we were wondering. And
Proof of elfness.
and they get into his backstory, which is super fascinating.
So
later
then that
on.
leaves us, and then that just leads you back to the question of like, is the stranger actually going to be Sauron?
Yes.
I really don't want him to be.
I don't know how that would still work. Yeah, because we'll talk about.
We'll talk about all that later,
Talk
but-
at the beginning because it starts.
Okay.
Yes,
Start
he
at
plants
the
the
very
seeds.
beginning.
he gives a great speech. Oh, they show some beautiful orcs. By that I mean
Was it
ugly
a
and
great speech?
beautiful. Beautifully ugly.
His beautiful children.
Oh my gosh, this one orc is just this chunky orc.
I think it'd be really fun to do the SFX makeup on orcs. It'd be so fun because you could be a
I
little
would,
bit more
see-
messy, and like
Yes.
the costuming is so textural and interesting. Like there's so much layering going on. I think that's something that I always really like about fantasy shows where they actually do tons of layering because it makes it
Practical.
feel more authentic versus shows where it's just like you got one dress, that's it, kind of thing.
Yes.
I have to sneeze,
So Adar gives this speech to his children, and
which
then
I have completely forgotten.
they march off to battle.
Yeah.
Well, to attack the tower of I can't remember the name of it.
The Watchtower.
And they get there. And it's like, there's nobody here.
Here we go. Oh yeah, that was a great scene.
And what's his name? And I still can't remember.
Arondir?
The dude who turned bat.
The butcher.
The butcher.
Oh,
He has a
I don't know.
name.
He has a name. I have not cared to learn it because he's a bad guy.
Anyways, yeah. He
really
he
care
has
about
another
his
one of those
character.
like, oh, what happened to Sauron? And then an orc comes up and is like, oh, what are we supposed to do, boss? And it was like, oh, come on, he could have answered that question if you give him. But
I know he never really answers that question.
yeah, no, the tower is abandoned, and then they show Arondir is hiding out there,
Yeah.
and he has a cool move. He shoots a couple orcs with his arrows, and then he jumps over the side, outside the gates.
Yeah.
And he kicks a stone with a rope tied to it. Did you catch that?
No.
A rope? I mean, a stone with a
A rope with
tied.
a stone tied to it.
Well, same
Still
difference.
works.
Over the edge, and the
Uh-huh.
rope is attached to a big log,
okay.
beam, and the beam
How
comes
did I miss
sliding
this?
through, and it catches the doors and forces them shut.
Ah.
And then the orcs are trapped inside
Right.
because they can't pull that beam because.
One interesting
Although
thing
if they were smart, they would just cut
Sure.
the rope and then they could get out.
Yeah.
But the orcs.
One thing I've noticed about this episode is that like the super important people don't move out of the way.
Oh, I know.
Adar doesn't move out of the way when the tower is collapsing, and then later,
It's ice.
Galadriel doesn't move when all the fumes are coming towards her. Like they,
Oh, I know.
they don't move. Like what the heck?
Like you're trying.
I mean, they're both elves. I guess does that make them a little less?
They're not afraid of it. I don't know.
I don't know because they can still get injured and killed.
Because a giant tower of he shoots the ropes that are like holding that
Tower
rickety old
together,
tower up, and the tower falls. Yeah, because
Wait,
a bunch
okay,
of
what I wanna
rocks-
know,
a bunch
though,
of Yeah.
is like, has that tower been held together by ropes the whole time, or did he did he take it apart? Did they take it apart a little bit and just make sure that it would not fall apart until the ropes were removed? Like,
Or do they need
that's a
to
little
fire the
sketchy.
contractor who built it?
Yeah.
It's okay. It's just tied together with ropes.
It'll
just
be
a stone tower.
fine. Yeah.
Like, I freaking don't know.
That was my biggest question. Was like, why? Where did they get the time to booby trap that if that's what they did? Or
Right.
two, why was it just tied together with ropes?
Because they kind of vaguely booby trap the town later.
Yeah.
When they're like, they'll be here, they're going to be here at dark. Or if they
Yeah.
do come, we're setting up archers on the rooftops and all this
Right.
stuff. Anyway, so he escapes, and they think they've done a good job, but they know that the orcs
They're
are
still
still
gonna
going
be
to
more.
be coming.
Mm-hmm.
So they hold out in that town, which I'm like, why?
I
Why
don't
wouldn't
know.
you
Why
just
just go?
run? Just get out of there. You're not wanted in the
Because it's
Southlands.
home.
This little village is your
I
home.
feel like at this point, with
Build a new one.
everything, yeah, I wouldn't stay. But I don't really care that much about like places.
Right.
You know.
Like, I understand it, but like, you can find, you don't
You
know
find a
what's
better
out,
place,
you don't know
dude.
what else is out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot, but guess what? There are a lot of better places you could live.
Yeah. Unless they just thought they didn't have time to flee, or like. I mean, I guess realistically, moving that many people and having older people and also kids, like,
small village versus
it's a small
horde of
village.
orcs.
Yeah, you can't move as fast. And if you don't really know where you're going, and you don't know for sure that you have a place to hide, and you know that the orcs have all those tunnels where they could literally be anywhere,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, is it worth it to run, or is it worth it to stay and try to fight? I don't think I would stay and fight.
No, see,
I am a coward and
that
I
is-
would run.
that is my first thought. I'm like, all right. Yeah. Like,
I just feel like
yeah.
anytime you choose to stay, you're likely going to die in movie world. It's just how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There hasn't been that many moments in the show where I've gone, they're not writing this realistically. Like,
Yeah, no, I mean, it wasn't an unrealistic it wasn't unrealistic that they stayed, especially because a lot of people can get really attached to their home, and
Right.
even if it's been completely demolished,
Yeah.
you still get really attached to where you grew up or whatever. Or if you've had your whole life there, it's like, well, why leave now? If I die here, I die here.
I guess because you think back then, like it's real times.
It's real.
Because if they leave their home, they have to build a new one. They don't
Yeah.
just get to go buy a pre-built
Can't
home.
buy it on Amazon.
You have to
Despite
rebuild
watching
your
the show on
whole
Amazon.
life.
Yeah.
So that makes that. So see, again, it's based in reality. It makes more sense. Is that
Don't
funny?
make me- No, did you hear what I said? I said you can't buy it on
yeah,
Amazon
yes.
despite the show being on Amazon.
Yeah.
I'm just over here making stupid jokes that make me laugh. Uh-huh.
So yeah, because I was about to say something stupid, but no, in reality, it's
Yeah.
true. Like, you've
It's
gotta,
not as
you're-
easy because then you also have to source all the materials and in the Southlands there's not that. I mean, there aren't that many trees that I could see.
They must be like very close to the slopes of Mount Doom then.
Well, no, if you think about.
I mean, I know how far a mountain can blow up, but
Right, you
because
think about like.
they're in a very hilly area, and
Are they?
and Mordor is very
Oh, sure.
flat. Oh yes, because
No,
if
but
you,
isn't
when they
there
show
like
the
the
map,
edge?
they show the map.
mountains?
They're literally there's the line of mountains, and then
Are we-
Mount Doom is not too far.
Well, there's like Mount
there.
Doom. There's this one little ridge of mountains. There's the. I always assumed they were like by the half moon.
They are. They're between the Half Moon and Mount Doom,
Yeah.
which I guess would be sort of hilly country. And we can't assume the Mordor we see here is going to look the same as the Mordor of
Because
the
also the
trilogy.
mountain blowing is gonna like change the landscape.
Oh yeah, I mean, have you seen
I was just thinking
Mount
about-
St. Helens?
No.
It is Mordor. We live
We
near
live
Mordor.
near- Well, I was gonna say if like Mount Rainier blew or whatever, or even Mount St. Helens, I think it would affect us, even though I don't feel like we're
Yes.
that close.
We're in the path.
Yeah.
If Mount Rainier went, we would have to probably move,
It would become Mordor.
depending on the
Yeah.
winds.
Sure.
But yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway,
What else did I say?
the orcs come to the town,
Oh,
and I
that's later.
halfway called it, but yeah. Okay. What else?
Because after the attack on the tower, it cuts to the Numenorians sailing
Right.
at sunrise, and
I did not.
Isildur.
I did not. See,
Yeah.
I don't really like battle heavy episodes, so I don't feel like I retained a whole lot
Yeah.
of this episode.
Isildur and Galadriel meet finally on the
Sure.
deck as the sun is rising, and they talk about elf eyes. Because
Oh,
she's
yeah.
like, I can already see the
I
shore.
can already see it.
Like,
Do you
"What?"
ever see that meme of them doing like the scientific explanation of how an elf could see? But you have to factor in like the curvature of the earth. So realistically, like they would have to have little pop-up eyes.
Oh no.
It's
Yeah,
so funny.
I always wonder how does that work? It's like,
It's so funny. Because realistically, like when Legolas sees whatever the heck he sees,
right.
it's far enough away if they calculate like the length of it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's so far away that like there's no way he would actually see that because of the curvature of the earth.
I just always assume they have zoom lenses inside their eyes.
Right, but that still doesn't
I mean,
factor for the curvature of the earth.
the scene in Khazad-dûm when
No,
Elrond.
so then the joke was, are elves flat earthers?
Mm,
Because they can see and they're not affected by the curve of
Right.
the earth.
maybe. No,
Anyway. Is Mordor really a flat earth? Could be.
Middle Earth. Middle Earth might be
Middle
flat.
Earth. Middle Earth might be a flat earth.
When Elrond
Hot take.
is listening or reading lips or whatever,
Oh, right.
they do this like zoom out, and you're like, are we supposed to?
See, I assume he wasn't reading lips. He was just listening because they can also hear really well.
Yeah. No, I guess I didn't. I think that because the camera pans down to his mouth, and we're like, wait, was he reading?
Because he was repeating
Right,
what they were
because
saying.
you read your lips with the lips. I just some weird connection in my brain went his mouth zooming out. He must have been reading their lips.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what they wanted you
But
to
no,
assume.
probably
but
not because yes,
to me, it would make more sense if he could just hear them and he was
Yeah.
repeating what they were
elves
saying.
have good hearing.
And good vision. and Middle Earth is flat.
Yeah. So they meet. Okay. Now we can go back to town.
Oh, right.
And
In the moment
Arondir
I
is
expected,
trying
but
to
didn't
hammer the sword hilt to bits, and he can't.
Yeah, why? It's like trying to break the ring. Of course, they don't know that yet.
Right.
but-
It's way before then. But basically, things made with
So
magic
where was that made?
you can't
Oh, it's just
destroy
magic. Okay.
necessarily.
Sure.
Or with dark magic or whatever. He
I'm
can't break
just
it,
laughing at what
so he
you
decides
said.
he's going to hide it.
Right.
And of course they have a one cutaway shot of Theo. Like, well, obviously Theo's gonna watch where he hides it because
Yeah.
he's got that sickness for the darkness like Frodo or
Sickness
whatever
for
it's
the
like.
darkness.
Sickness for the dark. Like,
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's just a funny way to put it.
I don't know what else to call it. He's got
Well, I don't know, the addiction to darkness.
the addiction to darkness.
Yeah. Does he though?
He talks about it later. He talks
Oh.
later about being like when he was holding it, he could feel like
just
a power.
Yeah.
Like,
Sure. Oh, right, that he felt empty because he didn't have that power and he's never felt that power.
yeah,
Yeah, sure.
dark powers.
But we had talked about with Theo trying to like speculate what would really happen with him and like what if his mom died trying to do whatever Arondir's plan was or whatever.
Right.
And then that turned him darker. So we half called.
We have called, and
Half
then
called it.
they just were like whoosh, swish, garbage.
Yeah.
Look what's really gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I think Theo and Bronwyn are in the clear
Yeah.
going forward.
And they finally, not Theo and Bronwyn, Arondir and Bronwyn finally kissed.
Oh, I know.
I was waiting so long for that. But I knew as soon as they kissed, I was like, oh, something's going to happen to her. I thought she was going to die. But she just got shot, and you thought she was going to die for a little while.
There was a lot of blood coming out of that arrow.
Yeah, but it was just a flesh wound.
It was woof. Like I don't like blood, and
Even the mention of
I
blood.
don't know if it was realistic or not. That's what I want to know.
I think it was realistic. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
I guess I'll
very
have to get
close to
shot
your
with
heart.
an arrow and find out.
Maybe,
wouldn't
maybe
mind
don't.
getting shot in the shoulder. I mean,
You wouldn't mind?
It would hurt, but I'd rather get shot there than anywhere else.
You wouldn't mind?
I know. I know they did tons and tons of research.
Yeah. I was just going to say, a show like this, I feel like it would be stupid for them not to do research and figure out how much it would bleed. And I know there are certain parts of your body that will, like your head bleeds more than other places, and not fatally. It bleeds more for, I don't remember why. I just learned that. I know that because I got hit in the forehead when I was like 2, and it bled a ton, and my parents were really concerned, and the doctor was like, no, your head just bleeds more than the rest of you. Because the vein, I think it's like because the veins are closer to the surface or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there's veins there. You had an artery.
Obviously, if you had an artery, you're going to bleed a lot. But I think that it's close to the heart. So that is, it's closer to the blood being pumped out.
Right.
How are you feeling?
No, I'm fine.
So you're fine with
I'm just
fake
thinking
blood.
about it.
Yeah, no, that's what I would assume. Not knowing anything medically, I would assume because it's closer to the heart, the blood's gonna gush it more. And also just the fact that they say if you get stabbed, you leave the knife until you can actually get to medical help and have it be pressurized. Otherwise, you're gonna bleed out.
Right.
Because whatever's in there is stopping the blood. So that too would make blood gush more because blood has already started to flow, but it has nowhere to get out.
Okay.
This is what I know from being a writer. Googling things
about
like, what happens when you stab someone?
I don't know how you research that.
I Google it. My Google search at one point was opium addiction withdrawals. Where's the safest place to stab someone? What happens when you get stabbed? Like I was like, what happens when you get stabbed in the abdomen, but it's not fatal? Or I don't remember. I had some real interesting.
There's a lucky
Google
spot
search,
there
yeah.
you can stab, and it's become a trope.
Yeah.
Or a cliche. I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah.
But and I think that if you get shot, the best place to get shot is like up in the shoulder somewhere.
Just
as long as it's not your heart. Yeah.
The leg, the arm.
Survivable. You can get shot through the head and survive.
I would rather get shot
That's
below
crazy
the
to
waist than anywhere near my moneymaker.
Is it your moneymaker?
Sure.
Has it made you any money?
I'm still waiting for the paycheck, but,
No, you can get shot in the head and survive. You can get the freaking nail into your head and survive. Just leave it in there.
People have all kinds of crazy things happen.
Yeah. Anyway, this is all off.
Or yeah. Well, all right.
Well, it's on subject.
Bunny trails.
Bunny
Rabbit holes. Whatever they're called.
Bunny trails, not rabbit holes. Bunny trails.
One thing I like, and I have noticed watching the show, that they don't use shaky camera button. I mean,
yeah.
When they do use it, it's appropriate.
It's very intentional.
But they don't use handheld camera because it's a cheap production. Like because that's sometimes the trick is like, well, we'll get a camera here, we'll get a camera here, we'll just hold them and we'll shoot the scene.
Yeah.
Because that is a way to cover cheap production, is to just do handheld shots. And the action does have handheld
really?
stuff.
Because tripods are not that. Well, I guess if you're using a big camera, I was like, my tripod was like $20. How can they not afford a tripod? But
or to get
the bigger the camera, but the jig, like if it is handheld, just
It's the modern style of it's a shaky camera.
But I feel like shaky cam is a trend to make you feel like you're really there, and it's the worst.
And it's okay for action, but not too much.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I also really don't like action where they cut too fast. Just trying to make it look better. And I don't think they've done that yet. I don't remember.
I think there is a bit of that with this action, but when the action is important, it doesn't get it. They let you see what's happening, I think.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know.
Wasn't it a handheld when they had Bronwyn on the table? Was it?
Sure, but that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I feel like they've used handheld very smart. It's like when you're the observer.
The handheld stuff that doesn't make sense to me, that bothers me, is when like two people are having a conversation and
it's all handheld and shaky.
You go, why? Yeah. This isn't adding to the scene.
Yeah, sure.
Whatever.
So anyway, then.
I made a bunch of random notes watching and being
Yeah.
like, the the elves. I guess there's one elf in
Uh-huh.
this whole scene. Oh no, I guess Galadriel shows up later, but she
Yeah.
doesn't have a bow and arrow. But every time I see elves using bows and arrows, I'm like, I gotta practice archery because that's they make it look really cool.
Yeah.
Well, they make it look effortless, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. And then probably half of that's digital. They're probably just shooting digital arrows.
But you still have to practice because you have to know how to
Well,
shoot.
yes,
You can't
I
look
know,
stupid and have a
but
digital
it's
arrow.
still like
Yeah.
I think I do. I think bow and arrows are cool. Archery. Be proper about this.
Uh-huh.
That it is cool,
Yeah.
and elves make it look cooler.
Sorry, I just remembered a random movie fact about some um that's the worst thing about my brain. There's a movie where like they were asking the director or whatever, like, how did you get these gunshots to look so realistic or stabbing or whatever? And he was like, well, we really shot them. But it was before like vests. They just had the actors wear really thick padding and they actually shot them. And it was like an older movie.
Hmm.
And it was kind
I
of
don't know that
before
one.
yeah, and I wish I could remember it because I was thinking about when you said digital arrows. I was like, well, why wouldn't they use real arrows? But then there's the
Right.
injury and all that risk.
Or there's like there's some
But
other
yeah.
tricks they use. I don't know. That's something
Yeah,
you can research on your own time. It is
I will.
fascinating how the special effects can work, the different styles
Yeah,
between digital and practical.
yeah. So what happens after that
Uh,
whole scene? When does Galadriel come? Because I feel like I'm not. Because well,
uh,
that's when they explain the seeds because he
yes,
before
the battle starts.
Arondir, before the battle starts, he's with Bronwyn,
Bronwyn.
like before he kisses her, right?
Yes.
And then he explains that they always plant some seeds to bring in new life before
In defiance of death.
in defiance of death. Yeah,
And then he talks and he has her touch the tree and talks to her about that, and then they kiss.
it's like when that scene was happening, when he was having her touch the tree and like explaining stuff, I was like, oh, this is like the hippie version of teaching a girl how to shoot a gun. It's like,
Yes.
here's how you touch the tree, and it's all sexy and whatever.
This is why people like the elves.
They are romantic, but it just made me laugh, and because I was like, oh, this is like all those scenes where the guy is like teaching the girl how to shoot a gun or how to shoot pool or whatever.
Ugh,
It's
yeah.
just the elf version. It's a little bit nicer.
Look at my gun. Look at my truck. Look at my seeds. Touch this tree. Touch my wood? No. I'll cut that.
Look at my seeds touch the tree.
Anyway.
Was that whole scene a euphemism?
And he talks about them starting a new life. They'll plant a garden,
Anyway,
plant these seeds.
touch some wood.
Anyways, it is all. Maybe it is a big euphemism.
It's how the elves are romantic. Um, but then doesn't he put those? What does he put seeds in her wound when he?
Yes, he freaking puts seeds in her
Why?
wound and burns it. And I don't know. Is she going to turn into an int?
Is she gonna turn into a tree? Is she gonna be an ant wife?
I
No, but I was
don't know
wondering if like
how that
the
works.
seeds are also have some sort of healing properties. Because wasn't she kind of using them in her medical stuff like a long time ago?
Did he say what type of seeds they are?
No,
'Cause if they're
They're
like
fr-
Malorn tree. Oh,
Malorn.
I can't say that. I
Yeah.
feel like their leaves maybe have healing properties. I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, I was curious
thought
about
that was weird.
I want to rewatch that scene because I know he kind of explained it. But yeah, he shoved a bunch of seeds into the opening.
Oh, because anyways, so the battle starts. He gets attacked by a big old orc, and he's
Yeah.
already a big dude, like he's
Around
tall.
here? Yeah.
The actor himself.
Yeah.
And then a bigger freaking monster orc
Right.
attacks him.
Here's the thing that annoys me because it's something they always say with fighting where the the more muscular and like the larger you are, the harder it is to be agile
The
and
slower,
quick.
yeah.
So usually people who are smaller have a little bit of an advantage because they can move quicker. And I don't like it when they're like, "Oh, here's this big orc and he's gonna win because he's big."
No.
Like, it doesn't
I think
physically make sense.
I think it's more that he's the one and only elf in this battle, and he's
Yeah.
probably getting winded.
Well, yeah, probably.
I cannot wait. Okay, we got to get to the end of this episode.
Okay, but
freaking-
this is unrelated. Did you see the LOTR and Prime story?
No, what?
Oh, you have to watch it.
Wait, the one
No,
with Sauron?
LOTR. Yeah.
Yes, so going freaking Mordor will rise, and then freaking the
Sauron.
silhouette of freaking Sauron.
I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh, if he shows up
So
tonight, I'm gonna
excited.
scream and pee my pants. Okay.
I'm not cleaning that up. So anyway, the elves come.
Oh yeah,
Pretty
no,
much.
no, no.
Oh, no, wait, what else
I wanted
happens?
I wanted to mention how much blood pours onto Arondir's face from the dude's eye, from the orc's eye.
Oh, right. Yeah.
When he's trying to stab him, and then of course Bronwyn comes save the day, and then of course she gets shot, and then
So
yes,
then really
I
it
know.
didn't happen. What I predicted was that Theo would go dark if
No.
his mom died. It didn't happen. So
No,
and then they're gonna live together, all be happy. Well, we'll see if
this
that actually
is only
happens.
Season 1, anything can happen.
Yeah. That's what I've been thinking, like,
Ugh.
oh, are they setting us up for a grave disappointment? Like, is one of them gonna die? Theo
don't
gonna
think
turn
so.
bad?
I hope they introduce some more characters next season.
Yeah.
They better live this season on a great
Who is
cliffhanger.
the white
The white?
robed?
Oh yes. I did do some research on that. Thank you very much.
Ah,
I did my
You're welcome.
due diligence, and it turns out that all they could say was they don't know, and that Sauron, in his absence, had many devotees that they're probably they are followers of
The
Sauron,
children of Sauron,
basically.
the
Yeah.
pretty ones.
Like, well, they look. They're very confusing, and I think we're gonna learn more about them.
Oh yeah,
next
we are.
episode.
Well, because again, LOTR and Prime, the story.
Oh yes, yes.
They showed them.
Yeah.
In the story.
I'm all up on LOTR
We get
and
Twitch.
Prime.
They
Twitch?
will list you. They did in
What?
their stories. They listed all the live watchings of the episodes on their stories, of all the people who have Twitch streams watching Lord of the
Oh
Rings.
jeez, I can't get in. There's too much social
Too
media out there, folks.
There is. But no, I was just like,
Twitch.
hey, they should do that for podcasts.
Hey, why don't you pick us up? We just need a few more listeners. 4,000 or 5,000 would be nice.
You know, that would be great. Anyway,
Okay. Yes. Moving on.
I saw this meme that is relevant because
Oh.
ADHD. It was like a person without ADHD. Sorry, I got off track. Me, who's never been on track in my life. It's fine. I literally am never. I don't stick to this script.
Oh, my battery's gonna die soon. So. Oh. Okay. Yes. So. Adar comes into the tavern. He wants the dagger.
Yeah.
And one thing I love is they didn't play it up or anything. It wasn't like, all right, well, all this negotiation. He's just like, friggin' an orc just stabs a person. Stabs. It's like, I'm not going to negotiate. We're just going to start stabbing people. You
Dropping
better
like flies.
give us what we want. And then he spies Bronwyn.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh shoot. And then Theo breaks.
Yeah.
But I just love that they just cut straight to business.
Let's get down to business.
Just stabbing people.
To get back.
And it's
our
so
sword.
brutal. Yes. It's so brutal. Just like a slow just
Yeah.
stab them.
I know.
So I like that.
Stab, stab, stab.
Let's cut to it. Okay. The Numenorians, some
Irene,
beautiful
be careful
shots.
of the camera.
Yeah. Some beautiful shots of them riding across the fields
Yeah.
in the mountains and stuff, and they come to save the day, like
Here we are
Gandalf
to
and
save
the
the
Rohirrim,
day. Yeah.
or the
And
Rohirrim
then comes
to
the
Gondor.
scene where I'm just like,
one?
it had an unsatisfying payoff.
Which one?
Where Galadriel's chasing Adar
Oh,
through the woods,
I was gonna.
and then
yeah.
Haldir, Halbrand.
You.
I do that every time. I don't know who Haldir is, but Halbrand. Anyway, Halbrand joins her, right? And they're chasing Adar through the woods. And you're like,
Yes.
oh yeah, she's gonna get him. She's gonna blah blah blah.
Steven
And then
uses
he
elf
falls off his
magic words.
horse because frickin' Halbrand does whatever. He fells the horse. and she like disappears. She's gone for
Yeah.
like 5 minutes. It's like, where did you go, lady?
There was some issues there going, wait.
What was she doing?
What-
Was
what's the
she
plan
like, was her horse going too fast and
Did
she had to come
turn-
back?
She had to turn it around.
But
She had to make a Yui.
yeah, like they didn't explain it. She was just gone, and Halbrand
Just
came
long
over
enough-
and
yeah, just
had
long
this
enough
little
for him
speech like,
to-
"Do you remember me?" or blah 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 or whatever he said. I don't remember what he said.
It was like,
and then
you know what?
yeah,
That whole
Galadriel.
scene could have been done later when they had Adar locked up in the barn or whatever.
There was really.
They
I mean,
could have had the Halbrand sneak in there and talk to him. Like,
yeah.
that
But-
was a glaring mistake, I would
but-
say.
I mean, I think the point of
Of
that
pacing.
scene was that she stops him there, and then he stops her later in
Right.
the barn. But just the pacing was really weird, where
Right.
she was then chasing him. Halbrand
Halbrand.
somehow, I'm just gonna call him Hal, somehow catches up, fells the horse. He's in front of them. He comes from the other side. I don't know. And then she kind of disappears so he can have his big moment with Adar.
Right.
And it's like, what? And they don't ever even explain who he was or how he knew Adar either.
I don't know.
They
but
never say.
They teased it very, like, definitely.
Like, he killed somebody
all they
important.
basically did
he
was
killed
tease
his
it
mom.
more. Like, okay, well, now we know he's got some kind of connection to.
Yeah.
He knows Adar, so what?
Maybe they were brothers in a past life. I'm just kidding.
I don't know. I don't even have any speculation on that.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, what I wanted to say was when the Numenorians came in, was I like
Mm-hmm.
that Galadriel like dodges an arrow or something and falls over
Oh yeah,
the side of her
she has
horse.
some real
She's upside
cool
down,
tricks.
and she friggin' slices the head off an orc while she's hanging upside down on the
I
horse.
love that they are playing into the elf tricks.
Yes, they-
because we know elves are great and like
They're making them
very
look great.
agile and like I love it. It's great.
That's just one of those one of the like little minor things that they don't even make like a big scene out of it.
Right.
Where it'd be like there'd be a swell of music and stuff. I feel
Slow
like,
mo,
but it's just
slow
like,
mo, running up the
like,
whatever.
Oh, no, look, she's hanging. Oh, she just cut his head off. Like that kind of
and
thing.
she just keeps going. Yeah.
Otherwise, the battle's very like. Apparently, the Numenorian boys, like that skirmish
the
was.
Numenorian boys.
Wait, I couldn't quite tell. I couldn't tell if that like for them that was like enough, because
Right.
it sounded no, it sounds like some of them, or maybe all, 2 or 3 of them, are gonna go on with Galadriel. Or at
Oh,
least
yeah.
the plan was before the mountain blew, was
Right.
they were gonna head on into the mountains to chase
Yeah.
down the orcs.
Sure.
And after yeah, but getting
Oh.
to Adar, I suppose.
So then, yeah.
In his
Oh,
interrogation.
You better lead it because I just thought of something that's towards the end.
Oh yeah, let's get to that. And Galadriel interrogates him in the barn later,
Yeah.
and we do get some backstory. He's an elf that was twisted by Morgoth.
Yeah. And the
So
orcs
he's
are his
basically- yes,
babies.
He is like the father of the orcs, and so that all makes sense, and that
I don't know
kind
why
of
that
ties
just
that
makes
together.
me laugh. Like,
But when pressed, he says he killed Sauron, which I don't believe.
No,
Never
course
trust
not.
an orc. Don't trust the dark, twisted elf. Whatever. I don't believe him when he says
of course
that.
not. Why would he? Yeah. No, that wouldn't make any sense.
Um,
However, what if? Okay, here's my one theory. If the stranger turns out to be Sauron, what if they're explaining that Adar did think he killed him? He at least ruined the physical body. So then Adar went up into the stars or wherever the heck he was and came back from the stars.
yeah.
I don't like that.
I don't know.
I don't like it, but it
I
could
don't-
be. It could be.
But Galadriel
Again,
Galadriel
Sauron
doesn't believe
ran
him.
away. Yeah.
Galadriel doesn't believe him. I don't believe him. There's no reason that he would. There's no what is it? What does he gain in telling her the truth about
Nothing.
that? So that's why I don't believe him.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, let's get to the end of this thing. What you have to know?
Oh well, I guess my question because then they're standing out there with the queen and whatever. Blah.
Yes, they're
I don't know.
celebrating basically the
Celebrating.
defeat and the
Celebrating.
crowning of the new king of the Southlands.
And then the butcher has the sword,
Yes.
and he puts it in because it's a key.
Which I was wondering if the episode was going to end before this happened.
I was wondering if he was gonna unlock some tomb, and that's where Sauron was.
Yeah, I wonder. I really wanted to know what that was, and we
but
found out.
My question is, did Theo give him the sword because Theo saw where Arondir took it?
No, apparently beforehand, what I remember is Adar took it and gave it to the butcher. Is all I remember.
Oh.
And
but
then
how
the
did
battle
Adar
happens.
figure out where it was?
He was going to kill Bronwyn, and Theo gave it up because Theo had seen where Arondir hid it inside the tavern. You missed that part.
Right, but then Adar ran away, and Galadriel got the package, and the package was an axe. So he must have just done the handoff before that. Okay, never mind.
I
That
don't
was
know
my brain.
where the heck it's something that they didn't show.
Yeah. We're
the
almost
butcher
done.
took it, apparently knew what to do with it.
Yeah.
And that unleashed the river, the dam, which then everything clicks. You go, oh, they were digging that whole trench to guide the river to a hole to hopefully set the mountain off.
Right, with the
Which
pressure.
I couldn't believe it when that started. I would go, is this gonna do what I think it's gonna do?
Yeah, see, when that was happening, I was like, oh, they're just going to flood the land, and it's going to become like the dead marshes, or blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah.
I was like, oh, wait, is that gonna be like the lake? But then
Right,
no. They cut to that shot of the lava pool. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
holy cow!
That's great.
I couldn't believe it. And then the mountain blew, and then she literally saw. It was like that vision of everything was just like ash and red, and it was like.
And she didn't move.
Yeah, she didn't move.
Once again,
even
the
though
people
there
who
was
were
freaking stones flying, falling everywhere, and fire.
just like Adar when the tower was falling, and he was just watching it. Galadriel didn't move. What is it with elves and thinking that they can just stand there?
So yeah, she literally got engulfed in all the ash and
and then at the very end, you just see her standing in the red.
Yes.
Oh,
what is going to happen next?
I'm so excited.
Which is, what is gonna? Yeah. I get.
What's gonna happen? I predict Mordor.
Yeah. It's gonna be
That was so
interesting to see what happened, what they do.
Yeah.
In the with that happening, with that all that. All right. Anyways, that was the episode, and
What are all the bodies in the dead marshes?
that's from a battle. I don't remember when that happened.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't see the Harfoots at all this episode. It was really just the Southlands because they had
We're
to
gonna
set
see
this
the
up
Harfoots next episode, though.
for this final two
Yep.
episodes to see what things are really gonna go down. I think.
It's gonna be so good. Yeah.
Boy, it's gonna be
I'm excited.
All right, let's wrap it up. Go check out my YouTube.
Oh yeah.
If you're not watching right now, because this podcast is on YouTube. Go listen on Spotify, Amazon Music, iTunes. If you're not
All the
listening,
places you can find a podcast.
I just released a new short film. You can watch that.
If you want to find me, I am on social media as With Love Kristina here on YouTube or Kristina with Love on everywhere else.
Yes. All right. Until next time. Road goes ever on. Now I gotta pee.